All right, you guys, welcome. We have been talking about this. Everybody has been anxious and excited and DMing us questions if they can't be on it. So it is finally here. And if you listen to the Hey Frase podcast, you know I'm your host, Sarah Fraser, along with Andrea Lopez. And a couple of weeks ago, a longtime friend of the show who we absolutely adore, Danielle, aka Danny Starr, was on the podcast and had said on the show, we need to do a white woman AMA. That white women can come into a space and ask questions that they've always had about race. Crazy enough, that was 4 weeks ago. That before, the murder of George Floyd, before the Ahmaud Arbery video had come out, before the Breonna Taylor murder. Here we are. And so it was like the timing we had to do this. And Danielle is awesome enough to be here tonight. So as we've been promoting and telling you, this is a safe space, a non-judgment space where you can ask questions about race. What do you want to know? Everybody across the world, across the country is standing up, protesting, and I think having questions like never before, but Danielle will answer that for us here in a second. So I'm going to introduce her. AJ and I are going to be bringing your comments onto the screen. We also had a lot of people submit questions, so we'll read from those. You guys can ask anything that you have wanted to know. We do want to give you fair warning, though, on this show. If somebody is racist in the chat room, we are going to block you. If you have a legitimate question about dealing with racism or something that's happened to you, fine. But you guys all know what we mean. If we have some crazy Confederate nut out here, posting the flag, y'all are getting big. Okay, it's not going to happen. But minus that, with respect, if you have a question, we get it, no problem. Please, right now, we are live on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitch. Share this video with someone. Danielle, aka Danny Starr, is about to do an AMA for not only white people, but non-Black people who have questions about race and Black Lives Matter. Start a watch party on your Facebook group right now. Comment, share the link on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you are watching us. Later in the hour, we're going to be joined by longtime social activist Marcia Dyson. She's also an author, and now she lobbies on Capitol Hill with many women of color and Black organizations to help expand Black Lives Matter. So she'll join us. Okay, with that, please welcome the woman that we adore and love, and she's awesome to be here tonight and give us her energy, Danielle, aka Danny Starr.
Hi, ladies. Okay, first and foremost, thank you so much, Sarah, for letting me take over your platform a little bit and for sitting into the discomfort. Because when we did have this conversation the first time, you said, I just get nervous that I'm going to say the wrong thing. And so that is why I actually wanted to have this space, because I get being in that position of being frozen and not knowing what to say. But we got to push through that. If we are going to make systemic change, which without a doubt, I see it, okay? I see the systemic change happening. I've never seen it like this before. The momentum is crazy. For those of you who don't know, Minneapolis, born and raised, okay? Miss Minnesota 2007, that is my home. To watch it burn down, to watch another murder live on the internet, it's time for systemic change, and you guys are gonna be a part of that. Let's do it.
Yes! Oh my God, we're empowered. And you're right. And you're going to kind of take it away here, but I will say after we had that conversation, I keep educating myself. I keep, forcing myself to have uncomfortable conversations. And one of the tipping points was watching Ahmaud Arbery walk into that construction site, because as a white person, I've done that many times. Mm-hmm. And no one's ever questioned me. No one's ever followed me. No one's ever videotaped me. In fact, they've come over and asked me if I wanted to buy the house. And y'all know I don't have 3 nickels to rub together. There you go. Okay. Now, so you're going to kind of take it away, start, and then whenever you're ready, you tell us and we'll ask the questions. But it is hard to do uncomfortable things, but people all across America are coming together and asking and talking tough combos.
It is. If you don't mind, I would first like to take, and one of you got to do the timing, please, but I would like to take 30 seconds of silence, please. Okay. For Ahmaud Arbery, for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd, for Tamir Rice, for Sandra Bland, for Eric Garner, for the countless names that have been turned into hashtags. I think we need to take a moment of silence and honor what their lives have now become.
Okay, you guys, that was 30 seconds.
Thank you, Sarah. I want to start by saying this. I, as a Black woman, have been extremely, I have lived in fear for a really long time, and not even necessarily about my life. Yes, that is one of the things, but also just in having to watch my language, and having to watch my responses to people, and having to like police myself, like, oh, you can't say this, even if it's how you feel, even if you are angry, you know, calm yourself down. And this is why I definitely wanted to have this talk. I wanted people to be able to ask questions. I firmly believe that storytelling saves lives. And so when we start to answer these questions, when we start this dialogue, this is the only way. I'm seeing people all across the nation say things like, I had no idea. And my response to that is, you just weren't listening. You just weren't listening, because people have been saying this over and over again. So I'm going to ground us in love and peace and let you know that this is actually going to be very traumatic for me. But because I believe in systemic change, and because I believe that this world can be better, I am willing to take it. Like, I am all for it. So hit me with them, Sarah.
All right, first up is Chrissy. I know, it's like you get chills. Chrissy wants to know, Danny, how do you explain to someone who thinks being privileged is materials, or they don't consider themselves privileged because they too also grew up with people who were homeless, came from nothing, or were poor?
Great question. So basically, this is how my big brother said this once. He said, have you ever been, as a white person, have you ever been pulled over by the police and thought in that moment, damn, I wish I was Black? Absolutely not. Anybody who is pulled over by the police does not hope that they are Black. You know what I mean? And privilege is not about material things, okay? We're talking about that innate privilege. We're talking about the power that comes with white skin in general, okay? We can both be from the ghetto. We can both be from the hood. We can both be from trailer parks. It doesn't matter. The fact that your skin gives you automatic benefits that mine does not. Right. The fact that, Sarah, like you said, you've walked into multiple construction sites and never been questioned, and that same situation killed Ahmaud Arbery, that is the privilege that we're talking about. So it's not about, oh, my dad worked really hard. I'm sure your dad did. You're still white. And being white in America is definitely safer, and there is no denying that at this point, than being Black in America.
How do you think, Danny, and I know, you do this work every day. Do you have any suggestions? Because I know a lot of white people on here, and myself included, we all have aunts and uncles that do not believe white privilege is real. Is there do you think just having the conversation? Because I think I've learned through this, you never know when someone's aha moment is going to be. But what do you think? I
think if your white family members watched George Floyd be murdered on the internet, watched him suffer to breathe for 8 minutes, watched them even after he stopped breathing, continue to have their knee on his neck, I think those people will never change if they can say, well, what did he do before it? Well, he has a criminal record. Well, no, that is racism at its best. And some of those people, you're not going to be able to change their minds. Everybody's not going to be on the side of justice and freedom and peace for everyone. But the people who are on the fence, that's who we're talking about. Because we can bring some people over to really understand. And I've seen it in my DMs. People are coming out like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. And I'm like, that's okay, but let's get to work. So you're not going to be able to change everyone, but you cannot sit in silence. That is the first thing I will say to you. If your uncle is racist, if your auntie is racist, and they're spewing off racist things in front of you, you have to commit to anti-racism. Because if you allow that, you are complicit.
I know. And I think that's the hardest work within my own family, because, it's like, oh shit, you want to keep the peace, but how do you do it? Now, do you recommend taking them aside and having a conversation?
No. You call it out right there.
Oh,
and that's what it's about sitting in the discomfort. And I know, and I'm telling you, I know that's uncomfortable, but you know what's more uncomfortable? Dying with a cop's knee on your neck. So like, if you don't say something, think about what that could lead to. Think about the next time your racist, not you, Sarah, but your racist uncle or your racist auntie sees a Black person walking down the street, and then they're like, oh my gosh, they're suspicious. I'm going to call the police. That one suspicious phone call can get my people killed. We cannot do that anymore. We cannot be silent. It is the time to speak up, always. And that's what being committed to anti-racism is.
100%.
Got it.
Now we've got a pretty vulnerable question here from Jennifer. I didn't know that there were different shades of Black skin until I was 22. I didn't know that there were, quote, light skinned or dark skinned, etc. I thought there were white people and Black people. Can you talk about sensitivities around the different shades?
Absolutely. Just like we talk about, white privilege, I am fully aware that I have light skin privilege, which means that I am often treated differently than my dark skinned brothers and sisters. Okay. So if I'm able to recognize my own light skin privilege, so this means people, when they say things like, oh, she's got good hair, what makes hair good? You know what I'm saying? Or,
right.
oh, or guys who say, I won't date dark skinned girls. What? Hello, internal oppression. No, these are the things we have to bring to the forefront. Yes, there are multiple shades. Melanin, my mom is an undercover sister, okay? You look at my mom, she is white passing. She is still a Black woman. We come in all different shades, all different sizes. We are not, just like white people aren't all the same shade. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like you guys are not all the same shade, some of you tan a little better than others, okay?
Yeah, you've got Italian skin, all kinds of different.
We are not all the same shade, but I will say without a doubt, often I am mortified at how, what it took for people to think dark-skinned women were beautiful? Lupita Nyong'o. All of a sudden they were like, oh, she's so beautiful. I'm like, how many dark-skinned Black women are out here drop dead gorgeous? But it took Lupita Nyong'o for somebody to be like, oh, dark-skinned Black women are beautiful now. No, they've always been beautiful. You've been racist.
Okay, good. I think that's great. All right. This is a follow-up to that, though. And this was a submission from someone who couldn't join tonight. And they wanted to know, how much prejudice is there within the Black community against other Black people?
Wow. That's a hard question, because for me, I can't speak for all Black people, obviously, but I can speak for my own experiences. And I think that sometimes, like, the Black elite, the Black people who get to a certain point of power, who have a certain amount of money, often look down at the other Black people who don't, which is really frustrating. It's like, because if you look at that and you think about that deeply, a lot of that is internalized oppression. Like, oh, I'm not like them anymore. Well, what's so bad about, the system is what's holding people back so much. So it just doesn't make sense to me that when you should never forget where you came from. It's literally how you became who you are. I think a lot of times that there's this separation because it's like, I'm not like them. But again, I think it all stems from systemic racism. I really do, because of colorism, because of money, because of all these different things. But at the end of the day, we got to really get to the root of it. And the root of it is our self-hatred, because the world has told us that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that our brown skin is not where it's at. There's so many different things. And I think that we have to get to the root of it, because if we don't, we're going to just keep making the same mistakes over and over.
Guys, if you're just joining the live stream right now, Danielle, aka Danny Starr, is here doing an AMA on racism, Black Lives Matter. Any question you've ever wanted to ask, if you're a white person or a non-Black person. So if you have a question, leave it in the comments. We're going to try to get to every single one. Sarah asks, she's a mother of biracial children, half Black son who is light skinned. How do I explain to other white people who just don't get it that my son will still inevitably be affected by racism? So many people seem to think because he is light, he won't have to worry about someone being racist.
That's a really good question.
Real talk, Sarah, if those people are continuing to question if your son is in danger because of his Black skin, those probably aren't your people. You shouldn't have to prove to those people the differences that your son is going to have to experience. There are videos all over the internet that are showing, Black men getting gunned down. My brother is as light as they come with green eyes, and he was stopped by the police for walking in a crosswalk when he was supposed to walk in the crosswalk, when it was time to walk. So there, again, you're not going to prove everything to everyone, but there are a multitude of resources that show, like, it doesn't matter if your dark-skinned Black people are going to experience a lot. I experience a lot. I have, nieces and nephews who are almost passing, but you know what kind of racism they experience? You know what kind of racism my mom experiences? When people see her, she looks white to them. But the moment they find out who her daddy is, the moment they know who her dad is and that her dad was Black, boom, that's where the racism ramps up. So it might not even be about what he looks like. It might be about who his daddy is. And when people find that out, they're not always gonna accept that. So it's so much deeper than what you look like. It could be who you are, who you're related to, what that means.
Okay, this is a big one from Carla. I'm going to actually not put it up because I don't want to hide you. Hold on. Oh no. Okay, here it is. Carla writes, how do you respond to coworkers or supervisors who tell you have attitude, are aggressive, or are threatening when you speak up for yourself, when you challenge work policies? I sent Sarah an email and Carla was on my list of questions. She had an experience recently. I'm Latina, but learned other women who are African-American who worked with me were experiencing the same thing and felt obligated to resign because it became too much to deal with. Let's talk workplace, Danny.
Okay.
A lot of people are asking this question throughout the feed. What can you do in a workplace to address racism, or when you've been labeled as a woman of color that you have attitude or you're aggressive?
I legitimately think this is where white allies come in. And what I mean by that is, first and foremost, if I am passionate, like me, I talk with my hands, I talk passionately. You wouldn't believe the amount of times that someone has called me aggressive when I was just being passionate. You would not believe the amount of times. And at the end of the day, there is this angry Black woman. There's this spicy Latina, like there's this, ooh, she's feisty, all this stuff. There are so many stereotypes that follow women of color. And at the end of the day, one, you have a human resources office, okay? You better file those complaints because baby, especially now, they are not going to be messing around. You better understand the power that you hold, take it back. And I will say, sometimes it isn't going to be in your best interest. I have walked away from a few jobs because of that. But you have to commit to certain things. You have to understand who you're working for also. My recommendation for anyone who is getting hired at some time soon, they always ask you, always, do you have any questions for us? Absolutely, I do. Are you committed to dismantling racism?
Yeah.
I'm not going to work for a company who can't say yes. Imagine sitting in a meeting, or just walk into your human resource office and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And if they give you any pushback, you say to them, I'm confused because what I'm hearing is that you're not committed to dismantling racism. And that doesn't sit well with me as an employee of your business. I guarantee you they will fix that problem.
I love that.
Okay. That's a great point.
I have a follow-up to that because I know as a Latina, I was the token Hispanic girl. I was the token Spanish friend. What would your advice be to someone who is that token? I'm not racist because I have Black friends. I'm not racist because I have Hispanic friends, right? And so it's these white people that are saying that. So what's your advice to somebody who is just the token and the minority in the group at school, workplace? Do they stand out? Do they try to blend in? What do they do?
You be you. And I will say this also. I hid behind that. I look back at some of my pictures on Instagram and I see my own hashtag token Black. And I'm so upset with myself, but also I recognize growth, right? My entire friend group, I grew up in Minnesota, white people everywhere. So you just had to get in where you fit in. But what I realized is that I had so many uncomfortable moments that I didn't speak on because I was like, well, it's just me. Like, no one's going to understand, or you know what I mean? That token. First of all, we have to stop doing that to ourselves. We can't accept being the token Black or the token Latina. We can't accept that, or the token Asian friend. No, you know why? Because what that is survival, and I understand that. But it makes our friends think that it's okay. And even though I understand it is a defense mechanism, no, we shouldn't have to live our lives constantly stifling our own discomfort to make our other friends feel better. They should be understanding how ridiculous this is and having these conversations. With that said, if you have a minority group, like a minority in your friend group, whether that be a Latina, whether that be a Black girl, whether that be an Asian woman, man, whoever it is, if you have never had a conversation about race, you are not their real friend. If you have never asked about their experiences as a person of color, you are not real friends. because every single person of color has a story to tell. Trust and believe it. So again, if you're sitting in here and you're listening and you think, oh, I'm really good friends with so-and-so, we never discuss race. Y'all are not as good as friends as you think you are. Start talking about it.
I just got chills and I'm tearing up.
Listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I was the only, you're gonna make me cry, AJ.
I know,
okay.
You're making me cry.
I had friends. I had friends for 20 plus years. And I made that joke over and over again about being the token Black. And damn it, this mascara is not waterproof, so just work with me. I had friends for 20 plus years. I told them that I was starting to feel uncomfortable as the only Black woman in our group of friends. I told them that for 20 years, I had stifled so many moments of discomfort to make them feel better. I told one of them that I stood in her wedding because I loved her more than my own discomfort, even though we knew she was marrying a racist. All of those friends disappeared because that conversation made them uncomfortable. So we cannot make fun of ourselves anymore because we are starting to let people think it's acceptable, and it's not. And honestly, that 20 years of friendship, I'm happy it's gone because I didn't deserve that. Okay. And when people show you their real colors, you got to believe it, baby. You have to. We are no longer going to make jokes at our own expense. We are no longer going to hashtag token anything because no, first of all, you should never, it's okay to be in a whole white neighborhood and still want to have Black friends. Like, you have to expand yourself. If you are only surrounded by a certain amount of people, of course you're only going to have one type of perspective. There are ways. Now, I'm not saying go out and just ask random Black people to be your friend, but damn it, get into groups, join book clubs, do whatever you have to do to get around people who do not look like you, do not think like you, and that can give you some more perspective. And let the other ones go. Let them go.
Laura asks a question. She says, Danielle, I've heard it said that it's important for white people to join alongside with African Americans in solidarity instead of having their own feel-good rally, that it's not the time for white people to do their own thing. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I honestly don't understand that. Like, if you're going to do, you can show up like white women for Black lives. Hell yes. Nurses for Black lives. Absolutely. I'd show up to one of your rallies. I'm not going to start my own. Do you know how weird I look just walking around with a sign like Black women for white lives? Like, I'm all for it. Like, I'm here to support everyone. I ground myself in love and acceptance and all those things, but join alongside Black people. White people who are not really, who may be on the fence or on the edge, they want to see you standing with us so that they know it's okay, so that they feel comfortable. Because what happens is you have an all white space where you're supporting Black people. Somebody in there is going to say some crazy stuff, and a Black person or a person of color is not there to be like, wait a minute, this is actually not okay. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, you know, and for anybody to tackle onto that, for anybody who's like, well, Black only spaces are racist. No, they're not. You know what Black only spaces are? You know what Black affinity spaces are? Safe. They're safe for Black people. They're places where you know no one's going to say anything ignorant to you, where you can say what you want, what you've been going through. Y'all don't need that. You got it everywhere. Y'all can be in Starbucks and not have the police called on you when you're sitting there waiting for somebody to come. You know what I'm saying? So there are multiple things.
We're getting this multiple times, okay? And I know you touched on it at the beginning, Danielle, but Danny, there's Michelle, a couple other people have asked this. What do you think of the idea of Black on Black crime? People tend to bring it up when brushing police.
God, wait, hold on, lost my light, ladies.
She knocked over her light.
We live out here. We live. Black on Black crime. I was ready for this one.
People tend to bring it up when brushing police brutality under the rug. What are your thoughts?
Here's what I'll tell you. When you live in a country that has for 400 years basically kept your people believing that they're nothing, if you don't value your own life, how can you value somebody's life that looks like you? Black on Black crime is actually a real thing. Of course it is, right? Absolutely. Well, why aren't people talking about these crazy white boys who are shooting up schools? That's a whole bunch of white on white crime, right? People don't talk about those things. Like they want to be like, well, what about black on black crime? You think black people aren't mad at black people for killing black people? Of course we are. But we hold the police to a higher standard because they're supposed to be trained. They're supposed to be able to de-escalate. We absolutely are pissed at our communities. But let's think about our communities. Systemic racism, one, it teaches us that black girls, you're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. Oh, you know how you can be successful? Be a basketball player. Ooh, Instagram model. When the world is constantly reinforcing things that make you not feel like you're anything, why on earth would you care if you killed somebody that looked like you? Black on black crime is a real thing, but it's also a huge part of racism.
Okay, I think that's an amazing answer, and one I think that sums it up for a lot of people. Sarah also wants to know, Danielle, I have a question that may seem really silly, but you said I could ask anything. I want to be a real ally. I'm doing what I can to learn more, read, listen, but is it okay to tell black people that they matter or that I seem
Hell yes
that I see them and am with them, whether they are friends or strangers? Is that something that would help or hurt more? Kind of the same concept as just complimenting people randomly because I want to be kind and show up and know that I care. What do you think about saying that to random black people? Like, I'm with you, I support you. What do you think?
Okay, for starters, I can say again, I can't speak for all black people, but what I will say is any black person that I know, I was driving the other day and a teenager, she was headed, a little white girl teenager was headed to a protest and she was carrying a Black Lives Matter sign. And I literally parked my car, got out, mask on, of course. And I said, baby girl. And she turned to me and I said, thank you so much. And she lifted her sign up and she goes, I'm going to keep fighting. You matter. And I was like, yeah, girl, thank you. You know, like, because it does. Like,
that's awesome.
But the truth of the matter is I know black people care. I do. I'm not worried about the black people. I'm worried about the white people. And there's a lot, I mean, there's white people in my Facebook post today on my personal page says, hi, friends and family. I'm trying to protect myself and my family. And so I really need you to answer these two questions. One, do you believe that Black Lives Matter? And two, are you committed to dismantling racism? Because if you can't answer those questions, you shouldn't be here and I shouldn't be associated with you. So what I'm saying is I need to know which white people are thinking I matter. I'd much rather know that you're one of the people who think that I matter, that my life is valuable, than have to guess. Because right now, black people are weary of white people. Tell me that you care about me so I don't have to be scared in multiple spaces.
Right. Yeah. Ooh. I want to highlight some of the comments. Some people are saying that, oh, I lost my train of thought. It was from,
get it back.
I lost, it's from, Marilyn Stewart. It's okay, but it's not a responsibility to educate you. So a lot of people are saying, I don't want all my white friends calling me right now. Like I'm flooded with texts and comments and like, it's your job to educate. What's a good way to show we care?
That's a good point. And here's the thing, like yesterday I did a Facebook Live and I was serious. I said, listen, I have for years responded to white women in my DMs. Well, why do you say you're black when your mom is white? She's not, you assumed, but either way, okay, let's have this conversation. I have spent countless hours. Here's what happens when you talk to your black friend about something you could easily educate yourself with Uncle Google, with some books, undoing racism training. There are multiple ways for you to educate yourself, okay? When you call your black friends, when you text your black friends like, hey, is this okay for me to say, like, I know you mean well, you are literally re-traumatizing your friends. They're remembering moments where they've had awful experiences. Their toxic stress is a real thing, and your black friend's life expectancy is less than yours simply because of the racism that they have experienced in their lifetime. Do you understand? So when you bring new things, when white people are constantly in my DMs asking me to teach them, no, you know what? And also, if you're gonna ask a black woman to take that much time out of her day, pay her. We all got our cash apps in our bios. You want to have a conversation with me? Okay, but understand the trauma that you're putting me through. And I am such a lover. Like, I just want to teach people. And I know there are a lot of people who were like, don't ask me, it's not my job. Yeah, and I feel that. I really do. But also I understand like being nervous and being frozen. I'd rather tell you than you not show up at all. Like that's just me. So trust and believe there are a lot of black people out here who don't want you asking them the questions. And the reason why is because there's multiple books. There's White Fragility. Read it. Okay, there's so many books, there's so many resources. Rachel Cargle, follow her on Instagram.
Yeah,
there are so many ways to learn. Your Black friends are not your teachers.
I want to bring in Marcia Dyson.
Yay!
Marcia is an amazing, inspiring woman, like everybody on here tonight. Marcia is the founder of Women's Global Initiative. She's been a social activist since the 70s. She's the author of the upcoming book, Irreverent Memoir of a Grown-Ass Woman. I love this woman. Right. She's amazing. And I thought Marcia, oh my God.
I'm enjoying this conversation. It is so lively. It's engaging. It's more importantly, it is informative. You know, I was listening to you, young lady, about having to educate the white people. First of all, you know, but for my generation, maybe for the younger people, since they extrapolated, well, let's say they never put our history and our struggles completely from slavery on to Jim Crow to civil rights movement and so on, so that you might not have amnesia like the people back in my day, be just ignorant because you were never taught it. But then I don't give you a pass because you young people, y'all all over social media. You go to our movies, you're dancing to our songs, you got our butts, you got our lips, you try to get your hair, you got the lipstick and everybody doing everything. You got our like, okay, so you got the flavor. So stop pretending you don't know us. Now your parents may have made our predicament, but you have appropriated our predicament and through our culture. So stop playing the game, you know, and don't touch Black women's hair. That I do know. That
oh, girl.
So it's for real. So we need, I mean, there's some places like in the Smokies. I mean, people forget about the Dakotas and Wyoming and all them places. So maybe you never seen a Black person. I doubt it because of social media. The box office with Tiffany Haddish or Kevin Hart or with Denzel Washington prove that you have insight somewhat into our life, even though it's romanticized through these films. And surely our music, every time you go all the way up at a dance club, right? Or you single lady in it, or you in Formation. I mean, nobody missed Beyonce's Coachella experience.
Thank you.
I mean, hey,
oh, that was amazing.
Got the
right.
in the blackness, so don't tell us that you don't know us and what we do, because every artistic expression somewhere in it gives a clue to our identity and our importance. Now, our importance really matter when it comes to cash, right? So I heard, somebody says like, I want you to sew up a sign that says you care, like Black Lives Matter. Okay, here I'm old school again. No, you can throw up what you all throw up. Throw me a dollar sign. I'm for 40 acres and a mule, but I want it on Park Avenue. My mule, I want a Jaguar. I just always wanted a Jaguar.
Okay, reparations.
So I don't care if you don't care, because I know that you're the majority. And this is when I'll give you white people a pass as I go through Chevy Chase and Bethesda, and you act like, you would swear nothing was happening except for that, police car you may have heard. Nothing was happening in the world. If you haven't been with us collectively, even though I kind of tease out the young people, yeah, you're in the dance club, but when you get a little bit older, you may not have mingled. Even if you're in corporate life, you may have Billy Bob over, for dinner or something, and you have your little, asparagus and stuff like that. The reality of our life, you may not got, because most Black people came from something. I don't care how important or rich a Black person may be. I bet if you stop 10 people back in their family, somebody's been to jail, whether it was misdemeanor or a felony, or if it was a distant relative. Somebody right now, if you're one of the affluent families, you're taking care of everybody and their mama's mama, right?
Yep.
And so it's a little bit kind of different, but to the people, you render not so much, I think, invisible. It's just that there is no interaction with you to be empathetic, because you've seen you got LeBron James. Oh my God, you had Obama and his swagger and Michelle in the White House, right? And you had Oprah writ large all over the place. And like I said, you mentioned the cultural icons. So everybody, when I travel international, what Sarah and everybody else, they say, wow, you guys got it made. I said, no, you're looking at like the 100 folks. There's like 30-something million of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
20% of us live below the poverty line in America. Be real. But I think that the one thing that really can help, to end racism. First, it's not just talking about it. You have to have empathy for an individual. And because they have that mindset that we've made it, and we haven't made it, just because we can dress this shit up, which we always have done. I remember back in the 50s, in order for me to go downtown Chicago, I had to dress like I was going to church on Sunday, just like I would have been in Alabama, Mississippi, right?
Wow.
So
yes,
you have to have empathy for a cause like, hey, we do pets. Do you know there are more laws to protect pets than there are?
Yes.
Regardless of your ethnicity, right? They will put your butt in jail if you electrocute a dog, right?
Okay, to add on to that, Michael Vick spent more time in jail. Michael Vick has been, and don't get me wrong, okay, I don't mess with Michael Vick because I like animals too, but I also really like Black people, okay? So when we look at things like how they did Michael Vick, and then we look at how they put Michael Vick in for fighting dogs in jail. Philando Castile's murderer, where he at?
yeah. Trayvon Martin. I mean, I cannot believe George Zimmerman remains a free person. Right. Marcia, if you can, some people just are having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you can get any closer, but everything you have to say, we want to capture. And we want that. I think that'll be, yes, absolutely. And a lot of people still have questions. So maybe both of you, Danny and Marcia Dyson, if you guys are joining our stream live tonight, we are doing an Ask Them Anything. Ask these beautiful women anything about race, even if you're a little shy about asking it. Rachel wants to know, how do you both feel about unconscious racism? And I think she's also referring to sort of microaggression, which I have a question about, because I think as a white woman, you don't always know you're being microaggressive, but maybe you disagree. So talk to us about what is unconscious racism and microaggression.
Well, I would say sometimes when I go into, in my home, I live in a diplomatic area, and somebody knocks on the door and they actually look at me and ask me, is the lady of the house in? Or I can go to Saks Fifth Avenue and I have a black card. Don't get impressed because you still got to pay the bill at the end of the month, right?
Real talk.
I can buy the whole damn store out. I can't pay for it at the end of the month. And you choose still to ignore it. That still happens here in the District of Columbia. So I think it's those small kind of things as well. And then I just think it's the total complacency about the plight. And really, this is when it's not about race. I think there really is this divide between the have and the have-nots. It's just that at the bottom of that have-nots happen to be my tribe, right? And I think this sort of ambivalence about somebody who's not in your class and you can just overlook them. I see it when I walk in Bethesda. I'm used to it. Most Black people, we used to saying hello. We try to look somebody in the eye, and I swear I almost feel deflated when I do that. Even young people, even in the building, I know we got the mask on. Okay, so we're looting the ride, but hey, most people think I'm Latin, right? And I can't do a hello for you. And I think it's just this whole thing in America. But when it really comes to us, when it really comes to the dark, let's talk about the darker the hue of my tribe. The darker you are in your pigmentation, if Black people, you really do get it worse, because I think some reason they think that there's a barometer of color, skin complexion that makes you more, acceptable, appeasable. So I won't ignore that either, though I didn't understand it, because if you line up my brothers and sisters, we go from almost white to ebony hue. But it's sort of like meter, this one is better and that one is not. And I think that those kind of things are in play as well.
I also
add to that. Yes, Danny.
I think that stories are really important. And I think, what happens is when people think of racism, or when they say, I'm not racist, they're thinking about Confederate flag waving, screaming the N-word, doing all these things. They don't think about those microaggressions, right? They don't think about the fact that, so my partner Jeff and I went into Starbucks. The barista was awesome. He was talking to the white woman ahead of us. Hi, ma'am, how are you? What can I get you? Lady answers, I want a mocha latte, chocolate latte, whatever she wanted. I don't drink coffee, I drink tea, so I don't know. But she was ordering this, right? They're having a pleasant conversation. Jeff and I are standing there talking to ourselves, waiting for it. Well, thank you, ma'am. I hope you have awesome day. She walks away. Hey, yo, what y'all want though? What you want to order though? I was like,
what is wrong with people? Wait, is this barista white?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was like, Jeff and I legitimately looked at each other, and I had to stifle a laugh because I didn't know. I was like, what's happening right now? And I was like, ooh. And then I'm just talking regular, I'm like, well, I would like a venti chai tea latte with soy milk. What y'all got going on this weekend? I know y'all about to turn up. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening here right now, but this right here, this ain't it. That is microaggression, because what happens is people are ignorant themselves. And for whatever reasons, when you sound educated or you speak like English properly, they automatically think like Black people have to be biologically ghetto or something. So I've gotten more times than you could possibly imagine. How come you don't talk Black? What? You can't speak a color. Those types of microaggressions are ridiculous. Stop watching movies and thinking that that's the only way that Black people are. Stop putting us in a box. You don't look at white people and be like, oh, you don't sound like a hillbilly. What happened? Like, no, we don't do that to y'all. Stop doing that to us.
Danny, I want to follow up with a question and then get Marcia's thoughts on this too. Sarah wants to know, she says, it's amazing to me, this is the comment, how many times I've said hello to a Black individual when I'm on a walk or a run, and they seem surprised that I even looked their way or smiled, let alone spoke to them. Can you elaborate on that? Okay, why would that be, Danielle?
Because you wouldn't believe the amount of times I say hi, I smile at white people, and they literally turn their head or walk faster. I say hi to everybody. My mama taught me, like, you don't see somebody and not speak. Every time I see a person, I say, hello, have a good day. How are you? I just keep on walking. I don't know if you know how deflated, like you said, it feels like you feel like you're deflated. Like you cannot believe that somebody couldn't even say hi to you. So when you bet we are surprised when we're walking down the street, and when an older white person says hi to me, I legit want to give them a hug. Like, I'm like, you've been through some shit and you still want to say hi to me? Come on. Like, you lived through it. And like, I legit want to be like, thank you. And that's a problem. I shouldn't have to thank you or want to thank you because you said hi to me. But I do. I'm like, wow, that's so nice.
Like a simple hello.
Marcia, add to that.
No, that was the point I was making earlier when I said I would go out and speak and they wouldn't speak. But then I would go and probably do what white people do, like, oh, that's a nice Black person. Because I do think like, wow, that was a nice white person who stopped to engage. And, we have our good white friends, because those who know you more on a home site type of one-on-one experience, or you working in the same field, mostly in nonprofit arenas where you have compassion for everybody. But now I just say, wow, that was nice, that white lady. If I'm on a plane or something, we're chatting it up. And I remember getting off the plane, call my person, I just had a nice conversation with this white woman. I don't say much. It was really pleasant, and she told me to keep in touch with her, and she really, meant it. And now that I think about it, wow, I'm wondering, maybe I do want these white people attention myself. I'm so glad when they stop and not pat me on the head, but do recognize my humanity.
Your existence.
Yes. Your existence. Cassie wants to know, she says, I have a bit of a tough question for the women. I'm trying to be an ally, but I also have family and friends that are officers. They all agree a change is needed and what has been happening in the system is wrong. How do I be an ally, but also support my family friends, AKA the good cops? I know that the response, all lives matter, hurts the Black Lives Matter movement, because all lives matter means nothing unless white people like myself can say Black Lives Matter too. I want to show support, but I think got cut off there, but I think she wants to support her police family members. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, she's in the same predicament as Black people are, who have Black family members who are officers. I mean, I was on a phone call this morning with a police chief saying, like, look, we're an organization, we want to get more out into our community. We understand that there's abusing of the blue men in uniform, but we love our community. And by the way, there's some white officers who feel the same way. In fact, we're so concerned about how this thing is brewing that we just don't want to be so fatigued, like the doctors and nurses in the hospital who are trying to combat, COVID virus and saving lives, that we want to be able to save lives too, because at the end of the day, if there's some criminality going on, whether you're Black, white, Latino, whatever, who are you going to call for law enforcement? Because this is a land of the lost. The Ghostbusters? I don't think so. So what she's feeling, we have to feel like, the cops are there, but not my brother, not my uncle, not my father, not my aunt, so you have all of these little asterisks. And I think that is a conversation that we have to have, because if we try to say that all police officers are bad, and I will not go for that narrative come hell or high water, because I think we do need law and order. Because if you don't have the law and order by the police, you're going to get the National Guard, right? And
Yeah.
if the National Guard doesn't work, then you're going to get the military. And the military are trained for combat against foreign folks, and you become the enemy because it's wired in their brain. They don't see territory. They don't see anything. They're going to come in there and act like we're foreign folk and do what they do in war. So we need to have, in the midst of this sort of conversation. So I think that you should be able to tell your family members, like, I have to speak to NOBLE, which is a national organization of Black law enforcement. We do love you, but what we need you to do is come and show yourself up a little bit more, right? And for that young lady, if you have that compassionate white law enforcement officer, that maybe they can take a picture with you and say that we care, because we need that just to maintain or really to reconstruct civility and have that relationship. And then on the cop side, we do know that a lot of these people who become police officers are under post-traumatic stress, because a lot of them come from military.
Yes.
A lot of issues. There's a high suicide rate, right? And so I think about that too. What is, when we talk about police reform, some of the things that I'm working on, what is the mental status of this individual which we allow to be on the force? But immediately to your question, tell that person to take a picture with you, say that we care. But at the same time, we have to have law and order. We want to do our job, and we want to do it right, and we want to do it with you. We want to restore order and restore community relations and do the job to protect and serve, while we, through our other agencies, take care of those poor cops. We hope to do it and more expeditiously than Black people have noticed in the past.
And also, it's okay to call out. I'm an educator, okay? I am an educator. My commitment is to the kids, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you think that while I'm in school, if I see people snatching up kids, if I see something happening, it is my duty as an educator and a protector of children to say something. So it doesn't matter, we have to call, good cops are only good cops if they start calling out the bad cops.
Right.
You can't put your hands over it. Listen, I have Black cop family members. I have firefighters that are Black in my family. And right now, they're going through it. And I feel that. But at the end of the day, if you are not, everyone must be held accountable. So they just now finally arrested all of the other murderers, George Floyd's murderers.
Yep.
Why they arrested them? Because you have to be held accountable. If you can watch somebody murder someone and you don't do anything, you're equally to blame. So for all the good cops out there, we love you. Show up, do it. I see cops all across the country right now kneeling with protesters. They are finally taking a stance. So now it's time for you to hold your brothers and sisters in the law accountable, because when you do, then people will start to regain their trust in the law enforcement, period.
Right.
Danielle, I'm going to throw this to you, and then if Marcia, you'd like to jump in. A couple of questions about digital blackface. Can you explain what digital blackface is? Yes. And then people want to know what the difference is between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation.
Okay.
So Danielle, why don't you start?
So digital blackface is basically let's say you and your friends, or we have a group thread and we're constantly talking to each other, but you are finding all the memes that you want to find, but they're all Black people, because Black people, culturally, we're very expressive. We're just fun, happy people, right? We get in trouble. We get kicked off of trains because we're too loud and all we were doing is laughing. We are told we can't go in the quiet car because they just don't think we can be quiet. There are multiple things. So digital blackface is, let's say, Sarah, you and I are texting each other back and forth, and you oh, that's so funny. And all you sending me is Nene Leakes, with her crazy mouth open with a laugh. And you're using all these Black, you just have to be mindful. It is almost making us into caricatures, and we're still people. There are memes that look like you. There are white girls that also laugh. You know what I mean?
I'll be happy to be one for you.
Yes. So it's basically just like taking on, Marcia said this. She said, you use our culture, you do this, you do that. You have to be mindful of representation, the images that you're using, and you have to understand that you are a part of stereotyping and things like that, or when you start doing, different things because Black women do it, or you're doing you have to be mindful of your actions. We're not doing that because we think it's cute. It's who we are. It is our culture. Okay. So when we see you mimicking us, that doesn't make us feel good. We're like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, we don't just do this for fun or to get likes. This is who we are.
So where's the line of cultural appropriation and then cultural appreciation?
Well, the cultural appropriating is to take us part of our culture and then put it on like the mask that we wear now, right? It's not necessarily visual. It can be verbal, like people talking about they got hot sauce in their bag.
Right.
Okay. Or other slogans that some politicians have used just recently, for real. Or, back in our day, we had Chuck Berry, but you would have swore that Elvis Presley started the hip shaking and rocking and rolling.
Thank you.
Boys and Men, but then you can have the ballads of the Jonah boys, and they gone off to soar into the stratosphere, and Boys and Men are like men, almost old men. So so it's the ballad singers and stuff like that. So it's appropriation of the culture, and which one can usually benefit financially from. Appreciation is where you can say, like, I just enjoy the aesthetic, the relevancy of the contribution that you're making, mostly to art forms, right? And then appropriation, just like Danny was saying, is the whole language. It's if finds, what's his name, the show that with Friends. Can you imagine Friends when they're all speaking Black talk? And you have some shows like that now, which is very disconcerting, because we would be pimps enough that we started speaking like, even if we took on the Dominican role, right?
Yes.
That we have this sort of fight with them, like, how come they have, the Black women in England playing Harriet Tubman? So we do understand that, but we are still in the same families. So we're still in the same tribe, but it's totally different if you try to put like darken, like they used to darken Elizabeth Taylor, or they darken somebody else to play.
Like, yes, Cleopatra.
That's really good. I actually thought digital blackface was when now you see a lot of women on TikTok that are white, but they almost use like
blackfishing.
Okay, that's called black.
That's blackfishing. That's when you can't tell, like you can't tell that they're white girls anymore. They look like Black women. That's called blackfishing. So blackfishing is when here's not only just blackfishing, cultural appropriation, all of that. Here's the problem. Justin Timberlake does a lot of Black music, okay? If you are going to, and I'm sorry, no, I'm not sorry. I'm going to say this, and I mean this. How censored do I need to be, Sarah?
Oh my God, we're like no censored at all.
I'm not, okay. If you are going to,
You can say it.
if you are going to wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts and fuck Black men, but not say anything when you see racism right in front of your face, you're culturally appropriating. If you have listen, it doesn't matter if you're dating Black men and you can't be racist. My grandmother married 2 Black men, okay? When it wasn't even legal, she was still racist as hell. Trust and believe it is very possible. People like, Kim Kardashian, whose entire brand is based off of Black culture, but she really said, she just finally came forward and said some stuff about Black lives, but you're married to a Black man, you got Black babies, you literally have morphed into Black women, and you still won't say anything?
What?
That is cultural appropriation.
Kim Kardashian has made $100 million, and her sisters as well, as blatantly ripping off Black women. And yet they're called out by it, but nobody seems to care.
They never get canceled.
They never get canceled. They continue to make money. That's racism.
Absolutely. Because let a Black woman steal something from a white woman, she'd be canceled so quick. I just want to give you the perspective. But Marcia, you have brought up Obama and Michelle. If we just thought about this, I don't know, Donald Trump got what, like 4 kids, like 3 different baby mamas, right?
Yes.
If Barack Obama had multiple wives and multiple baby moms, do you think he would have been president?
No.
If Barack Obama, prior to being elected, said, grab him by the pussy, do you think he would have been elected?
No.
No. That is racism. And the fact of the matter that the country is still not understanding it, I don't believe that. You don't want to understand. You're comfortable in your privilege. You're comfortable in that racist bubble. But if you can really say, oh, yeah, no, there is no way. If Barack Obama said, if Barack Obama wore the wrong color suit on Easter one year and they fried his ass.
Yeah. 100%. Marcia, do you want to add to that? And then I have a woman who is white who wants to know about the statement of not seeing race. But Marcia, would you like to add to that?
She said that she does not see race.
Yes. The next question is Amanda. This one's a kind of a sensitive one, so I'm curious to see how you ladies answer. She says, I commented on YouTube, not sure if my question was seen. Amanda, we are seeing it. She says, as a white woman, how is it possible for our message to be that every race matters? I want to be able to get that message that I care about every person. I don't see race, I see a person. I know that commenting all lives matter isn't well received, even with the best of intentions. Would a hashtag every race matter be received well?
No, it wouldn't. What's her name?
Amanda.
Amanda with love. Here's the thing. My daughter has a chronic illness, okay? This is the best way I can explain this to you. First of all, you would never look at me and say, I don't see you as a woman, because my womanhood is a big part of who I am, right? Just like my blackness. My daughter is 5 years old. She has a chronic illness. She is a tiny little human. She has to struggle every single day. You need to see her as a person. You also need to see her illness, because when you don't see her illness, you completely erase her struggle. She vomits in her sleep 3 to 5 times a week. She shits like 12 times a day. She is in failure to thrive. She cannot keep food in, and she's not digesting anything. So when you tell me, oh, I don't see your baby as having a chronic illness, I just see her as a kid. No, you better see her and her illness, because her illness and the fact that she's surviving that illness makes her a warrior. If you don't see my blackness, you do not see me. I need you to see my color. It's a part of my identity. It's my existence. You can't take that away.
I think that, Marcia, add to that.
Yeah, my 12-year-old granddaughter made a statement to her mother today, which is on Maisha Dyson's Instagram. And she was trying to, figure out to tell people about why Black Lives Matter is so important to her. She gave the scenario if she was was wounded in the classroom, a kid, a Black boy or a girl, and they needed a Band-Aid, and the teacher was saying, well, I'm gonna give everybody in the classroom a Band-Aid because it's only fair. And she says, but it's not fair because only I'm bleeding, right? And that's it. And that's another thing, we used to talk about, and you don't even use this anymore as America being this melting pot. And I used to always be objective to that, because for me, if you can imagine the America being a melting pot, that's like eating puree baby food. I like the chunky food. I want to see the carrots. I want to see the peas. I want to taste the onions. I want to see the mushroom. And I don't believe in that just to make everybody feel comfortable. I like the differences. I like the diversity of who we are. It's the reason why I travel. I don't want to leave America and go to Paris and it looks like Paris. I mean, looks like, America, looks like this.
Yeah.
And the same thing with our individuality as well. I want you, like she said, to see my blackness. I want you to hear my flavor. I don't want you to appropriate it, because I very seldom, my best language is not English, it's cussiology. All right?
Cussiology.
I'm like an A+ student on that one, because life is so profound and profane to me. So for her, I think it's just best to stay in lane. Yes, for you, all lives do matter, but America has divided us so much so, and we're such literally behind the 8 ball, that if we don't keep showing up, you will knock us off the pool table, because we're just that invisible for so long, or just not worthy so long, that our bodies post-slave labor has no meaning to the global or to the national economy of life. Because our body, at the end of the day, bodies are human, the greatest capital is human capital. And collectively, we've been knocked off of that money radar by the next minority, which is larger than ours when you talk about human capital. So we need you to see us like I do see you. You know, I used to go around and say, like, I see white people, you know, on U Street, which was phenomenal. I mean, I remember a white woman running down the street 5 years ago on T Street while I was transitioning, or better yet, gentrifying. And I was going to call the cops on the brother and wait for him to follow it. It's like, damn, a white woman's running 11:30 at night on T Street. Some black man got to be chasing her. But yo, she got so comfortable in the hood. That's why I'm saying, like, you are fooling us. You know about us. You're comfortable with us. You run in the neighborhoods when I wouldn't even run. I'm telling on my little black self. Okay? I was not even run. That's why I was about to call the po-po. Oh, the black man I didn't even see because a white woman running the neighborhood in front of Reverend Jackson's house at 10:30, 11:30 at night. I'm like, damn, she's free, or somebody following her, you know.
We're continuing to get a lot of questions. Sarah also asks, I think sometimes I use Black women in my gifts, gifts that I send or whatever, because I feel like I can relate to them more in many cases, but maybe I should not. What are your thoughts?
That goes back to the digital blackface. I just think, like, if you're only using Black women, you are appropriating. I think that they're like, I don't think it's as cut and dry as, like, don't ever. I have a friend, Darian, and she never uses them. She refuses. She said, I'll find a picture, and she always sends pictures of white women. Like, she's like, this is just what it is. I don't want to, she's just very mindful. And I just think that there's so much research out there.
Okay.
You got to do all that research. You got to pay attention to those things. You know, the conversation can't stop with one conversation. You can't, you know, there are so many ways to educate yourself. I think the world is finally waking up. I am so sad that George Floyd was murdered, but my God, what has happened since?
Yeah, I know. And that video of his daughter, you know.
Yeah, Daddy's going to change the world.
Oh my God, she is such an angel. I mean, she's such an angel. You know, we could go all night long. There continues to be a lot of questions, and I know both of you ladies will help us answer. But I do want to get to, are there specific resources that both of you recommend? Danielle, you already brought it up, White Fragility, How to Be an Anti-Racist book. And on Instagram, I love Rachel Cargill, The Voice.
Follow Rachel Cargill for sure. She is fantastic. She will tell it like it is. And if you are uncomfortable, that means something. Push into that discomfort. There are, you can literally Google, this is what I did. There's like a course called Woke 101.
Okay.
Give you a list of books that you can read to start undoing your own racism, undoing your own internal racism, your own internal oppression. There are books upon books upon books. But yes, absolutely, you know, White Fragility is a start.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There are, I'm telling you, what's your one? I want to see that one. That's not what Tears We Cannot.
Michael Eric Dyson's book, which he's been all week on television, New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
Tears Cannot Stop, Sermon to White America, by Michael Eric Dyson. Tears Cannot Stop. It's a very emotional telltale with some things that you can do to help get your road on to ending racism. It's not a workbook. It is more of a mind releasing and to give you some ideas of what we've been going through. And the reason why the title is Tears We Cannot Stop, because often we find ourselves in these pregnant pauses of just weeping, not rivers of tears, but ocean of tears, not just because of the incidents around police brutality, but the mass incarceration, the lack of jobs, inferior education on an elementary level. So we need this sermon to white America. So Tears We Cannot Stop, Michael Eric Dyson, a sermon to white America.
Yes. Also, there's a bunch of stuff. Okay, maybe you're not into reading. Cool. There's podcasts. There's Netflix specials. 13, Ava DuVernay. They're like, 13, the Central Park 5. Watch it.
Oh,
There's
God.
so many things that can help educate you.
We should give a list to Sarah. And Sarah, you list them between Danny and I. We could give you a list and you can put them on for your audience.
Yes.
We will absolutely share it. And I learned so much from Rachel Cargill. I didn't realize, and this is talking about being uncomfortable. I didn't realize that a lot of Black people are tired of hearing white people, when they tell them stories of racism, white people go, oh, wow. And I'm so guilty. I've done that tonight. I'm trying to retrain myself to stop going, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's like,
it's like really like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm so used to that.
We get the sentiment, but
There's
no.
one white woman that wrote a great book that embodies the whole mess in America, and that's the former presidential hopeful Marianne Williamson. Her book, The Healing of America, is a must-read.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good one.
I also
America.
Marianne Williamson's The Healing of America, because you know there's a scripture that says how can the righteous be saved if the foundation is destroyed? What will the righteous do? And for us trying to do the righteous work on a faulty foundation, whether it's our Constitution, the laws set with the forefathers, whole Jim Crow, it's like walking, in high heel shoes, knowing that the heel's going to break, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to you can read this by a white woman, at the same time read the books that Danny is recommending and the podcasts and all these things. I mean, it's everywhere. So anybody said that they can't find something to help them their way out of this brown paper bag called us, a black paper bag, you really have your head in the sand, because it is all in your face and not in blackface.
Yeah, right.
I love that. I wanted to say that don't really purchase a lot of books from Amazon. There's a lot of Black-owned bookstores that are offering, like they've been putting up their website, so purchase it from there. DC Mahogany Bookstore is a great bookstore. It's African-American owned, so go there and purchase that from there.
That being said, there are so many women who follow me and are constantly asking me questions that are clearly told in my book. It's like, you love me.
Read my book.
You will buy, what's her name? Glennon Doyle. Is that her name?
Glennon Doyle.
Doyle, yes.
Yes. You will follow her. Y'all right now, but you will not buy Black women's books. And then let me tell you something else. I really recognize how Netflix feels. You know how one person has an account and 100 people are on it?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, I get that. I think, but like, you don't understand what it puts into, like, if a Black woman writes a book and she gets it published and she does all these things and you buy it, you as a white woman buy it, and then you pass it to Sarah, Cindy, Kathy, all these people all around, you are not putting money into Black pockets. Racism exists also because we are impoverished, and because it's hard to get out of poverty because you keep putting your white dollars into only white systems and organizations. Hey, go ahead, Sarah. Where should we buy your book, Danielle, so you get paid for your
Danny, and talk about your Cash App. Danny's daughter is going through, has been battling a severe immunity issue for many, many years. And every time you come on this show, I hope we can raise money, and because your daughter needs ongoing surgeries and treatment. So please, Danny, promote where people can donate and buy your book.
Thank you. You can, the best way to buy my book for me to get the most money is either from me, you can DM me, but also Itasca Books, Amazon, what's his name? Jeff Bezos. He got a whole lot of money. He don't need any more. So Itasca, if you just look up Empathy and Eyebrows and you search Itasca Books, it's a Minnesota company. So money will also go back to Minnesota. And they are also giving money to George Floyd and everything like this. So yes, Itasca Books. My Cash App is the little sign and just Danny Star, DANNISTARR. Marcia, do you have a Cash App? Because when you have to sit here and you have to do that, please tell us your Cash App, because Black women are done doing stuff for free.
Absolutely.
Cash App, Marcia L. Dyson.
Okay, we're going to put those up on social media.
Please do,
definitely.
I really think that people don't understand, like you're paying for Netflix that you want to educate there's so many free things, but when you're constantly in my DMs and I love you and I want to educate you, I don't think you understand the emotional turmoil it takes to constantly educate people.
I start off with that. You want to show me that you care? Might throw up the sign, cash, right?
Yes. If you want to show me that you care, buy my book. Donate to my daughter's GoFundMe. We struggling over here, okay? And we're still trying to help you. They're killing us, and we're still trying to help you.
And
I want to hear about your daughter's situation, so DM me, okay?
I absolutely will.
Yeah.
I absolutely will.
Ladies, this has been so amazing. People do keep saying to vote, vote, vote.
Yes.
Vote.
Vote. We're so grateful. You guys, as they mentioned, please support these fabulous. women, they have given the time tonight to talk about and answer all of your questions on race. So the Cash App, please Cash App Danny if you can. It's Danny Starr on Cash App, and it's Marcia L. Dyson. We're going to promote them on social media.
Danny, thank
Oh, you are so beautiful.
You amazing. Please help if you can. Danny has
support. Sis, when they open up the outside, I'm gonna connect with you and I'm gonna feed your soul as well. Thank you, sis. For real. You're gonna make me, I appreciate you.
All right.
Love that.
Ladies, AJ and I can't thank you enough. I mean, this has just been so amazing. Tons of people in the comments are thanking you. You know, at one point we had 200 people on. It's just truly changing the world. So thank you both for your time.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
For sure. Thank you, Sarah. Can I end with one thing?
Yes, please.
Yes, as a person from Minnesota, okay, this is the second person I watched die live on the internet, literally live. I not streamed, okay, because when I opened my Minnesota feed, it was live on the internet. I watched Philando Castile die live. I did not even realize what I was watching, and then I watched him die. I watched George Floyd die live on the internet, okay? And I'm also watching my city burn. There are so many people who want to constantly keep commenting on the destruction and the fires and the looting. And I understand that. I don't think anyone wants things destroyed. But if you are more focused on the destruction, we got to think about two things: cause and effect. Okay. What is the destruction and the looting and all of these things? That is the effect. But what is the cause? A man lost his life, and you are talking about buildings. These people have insurance. Those buildings will be put back. These Black lives with who now are only hashtags on your internet feed, on your timelines, they will never come back. So I'm going to make myself very clear, and this is me and my own viewpoint. I am from Minneapolis. I am born and raised in Minneapolis. It is my home. I was Miss Minnesota 2007. But if that city has to burn down for all Black people, all people of color to be free, I'm telling you, it's okay that it burns, because freedom over everything, bodies over buildings. If you've posted about the destruction and you have said nothing about the deaths of all these murdered Black people, you are a major part of the problem. And you need to dig deep and understand that we can always rebuild, but we get one precious life, and all those lives were taken far too early. We have to do better.
And we cannot act like this is foreign to America, because the Civil War, just the whites against the white, the North against the South, meant that white people didn't care if certain parts of the country burned. So it's not like it's not familiar to you, but when it works towards you and not for us, then there comes the rub.
So lastly, just to add on to you, Marcia, yes, freedom over everything. Go ahead, Carla. Biggest thing ever is I don't ever want to hear any white person talking about rioting, looting, and destruction, because y'all riot when y'all win college basketball games and championships. Y'all riot when y'all loot, like real deal riots. Y'all set cars on fire and knock down lights poles and things like that. And nobody's talking about that. Also, why can't they peaceful protest? Colin Kaepernick was on his knee for how long? And y'all said he couldn't do it that way. So let me ask you, what is the proper way to protest?
Hey, look, I'm with you. I think it's bodies over buildings. And, I agree. I mean, it is, you see Colin Kaepernick, and he tried to do it that way. People didn't look, and people aren't going to be happy about this conversation no matter what you do, because like both you women said, I mean, it's changing the entire system. It's changing these, and we'll do another conversation because this is so good.
I was going to say, we have to talk solutions.
I know, we have to talk solutions, but it's dismantling a lot of these organizations that these guys get in power. They help all their other white buddies. I mean, it's believable, but there are still all white country clubs in this country. I mean, there are still all white places,
Churches on Sunday. On Sunday morning, the most segregated place in America is the church. So that's like, you can't even, congregate together to celebrate your religion and faith in a God on Sunday morning. It's not like the church, the doors of the church are open to everybody, right? So like,
I urge you, one, to vote. Vote. Look at all these votes. I urge you, one, to vote. I urge you to if you want to know where people stand, if you want to really take a stance against racism, you have to know who you're dealing with. From yesterday forward, I had made a commitment that any organization that I am a part of, that if you out there dating, it better be in your Bumble, Tinder profile. Listen, it's very simple to ask a question. Are you committed to dismantling racism? Okay. Yeah. Because it's a yes or no question. And if somebody tells you no, you know what kind of person they are. You shouldn't want that. Organizations that you're involved with, people that want you to speak places. You're hiring a nanny. She seems so sweet. She Mrs. Doubtfire. Okay. Mrs. Doubtfire, excuse me. Are you committed to dismantling racism? Ask those questions. Dig into the discomfort, because when you ask that, you know where people stand, and then you know what you can do when you know where people stand. You can hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Right. You can hold them
accountable. In marital terms, like sign a prenup, right? So a pledge on this thing, because we can get to the altar without us clear understanding of what we can expect when you leave us or not. We want to know what we're going to be left with, and we don't definitely want to be left at the altar without this signed agreement. So I'll put it in form of a pledge. So I don't say just vote. I say vote based upon your particular needs and your issues, and for us, vote for the right person, because I'm not looking for a great orator, right? I'm not looking at what you did back in the day. I want to know what you're going to do for it, and I want you to sign off. Because I have taken people that think because you're in a party that it's okay. I don't vote for a party. I'm a party girl, but not when it comes to politics. Know this, right?
And teach your children.
This is not a time for working. This is a time for working your candidate.
Right. Yeah. And I want to talk about solutions, because Danny, it starts young. It starts with the teachers. It starts at home. Talk to your children about racism. Talk to your children about race. And I grew up in a very diverse family. It helped, but start them young, guys.
It does. Racism is taught. Racism is taught. You have got to teach your children young. There are so many books that talk about it. You don't have to, hey boo, you don't have to do all the work on your own. There are plenty of books out there that are helping you talk to your kids about racism, that are helping you. You know what? Like my baby girl, her best friend's name is Lucia. Lucia's mom reached out to me the other day. She said, I don't even know where to start, but I just need to talk. She said, our babies are best friends. We don't really know each other that well, but I'm here. I see you. I hear you. Okay, let's go. She's like, I'm talking to the kids today. This is what I'm doing. You have to talk to your kids, because your kids don't see that. They don't see all that craziness, but the world will corrupt them. So you better be on it.
Oh, we have to do it again. Please, you guys. Oh my God. Marcia, thank you. Danielle, aka Danny Star, thank you. You guys, Danny is, her daughter is beautiful. Della is amazing. And she is battling some ongoing, oh my gosh, I'm losing the word.
Autoimmune.
Gastroenteritis. Less than 5 people in 100,000 have it. She just had surgery on Friday. They took pieces of her esophagus, colon, stomach, intestines. She is a trooper. I also want to shout out Marley, because I don't think it's right. Della is so sick, but Marley is the best big sister in the world. It is extremely difficult to be the bigger sister of a chronically ill child. So I just appreciate y'all. And yes, I don't play these games no more, because my baby is sick and I'm not going to let her die like this. So yes, all the money. If you got a little to spare, go ahead and cash that. Cash app that, please.
Cash app Danny Star. You guys, we're going to do this again. Thank you so much, ladies. This was amazing.
Thank you guys
so much.
Thank you good much, Sarah.
I love you both dearly, dearly. We'll see you guys again soon. You can always email Sarah, SAREH at heyfrase.com, and a guide will be going up from these two women specifically. We'll talk to you. Good night. Good night. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.